Hey there, welcome to Deja Vu. I am a little froggy today because it is raining cats and dogs. What is it with all this wildness around me, huh? Anyway, my internet has been dropping quite a lot, so I just wanted to put this out there and I'm going to share a sample of what was put about 8 hours ago out here by myself because this is important information, but you don't have to agree with it. The ninth door, I did put one of a part two to the ninth door, a reading. Hello, 𝐤𝐸𝐸, how are you? Hi, Carrie, how are you doing? 𝐤𝐸𝐸, is it wet where you're at? Carrie, is it snowing where you are? I think we're getting a lot of precipitation from the sky, aren't we? So I'm going to play a sample from the video that I just recorded 8 hours ago. Thank you. I'm sending positive energy to both of you ladies. Thank you so much. You had foggy out yesterday? Oh wow. So is it cleared up? Are you down in California? I heard that they had a lot of fog there. Lots of snow. Is it cold there, Carrie? I hadn't heard from you, so I was concerned about your travel. You're in Georgia. It's foggy in Georgia. Oh, that is peculiar. Are the creatures there behaving weird? Are you having any birds falling from the sky, 𝐤𝐸𝐸? And 𝐤𝐸𝐸 there, and also Carrie, you might be interested. Ninth Door had a video that I added. It's part one of two, and that's the Sagittarius channel. So if you're not already there, have a look. I'm going to play the video that I created just recently on this channel. Somehow a pregnancy upon the wife of the man who created it. Unbeknownst to the man, of course. Can you hear that? So it was like a grape scenario by a creature that was not real. It's kind of weird. I mean, the film, it makes a lot of sense. Hey Jeffrey, how are you doing? It's very dark. It's very weird. It's in that time that was what horror was. Okay, so with a twist of science fiction. Hey Yellow Beast, how are you? Okay. So okay, let me go back to the internet for a moment. So if you think about the internet and all the good things and wonderful things that can be done with it that have been, but what do you think about all the bad things that have happened with it and happen and could be on? Okay, right now we have mass surveillance. Planet-wide, just about, they want to digitize us. Let me ask you, do you feel like you want to be a sim? A sim that can be controlled? Whether you live, eat, go to the bathroom, if you, I don't want to sound gross, but I'm just going to be honest. They have control with biohacking over us. Let me rephrase that. With the ability of a tap on a keyboard, biohacking is something they can use on us. And we are all TIs. So if you have to use the bathroom, even if you're a healthy person, never had an issue, you could have an urgency and you could miss yourself getting to the bathroom. In other words, lose yourself in your pants, your dress, whatever you're wearing. They could make you throw up at will. They could make you not hungry. Kind of an Ozempic effect, right? So this biohacking, they can have urges in you that make you angry. They can have urges in you that make you 𝐤𝐸𝐸𝐸, like say with a perfect stranger. You see, back in Iraqi war, the 90s, 2000s, I think it was 2000s, right? I think it was around 2002 when we started that particular variety of war. I am live right now. Yes, I am. But this recording was not heard, so I want to be certain that you get a piece of it so that if anyone wants to indulge in it, they can go back and listen to it. It was recorded 8 hours ago here on this channel. It happened. It sprung up. And they sold us on the whole concept. Oh, we need to get sure, back at it. If it's within reason, something I can answer, yes, go ahead. Of course, there's certain topics that I probably should not indulge in, but if I can't, I'll just say I can't, right? need to get even. We need to find Al-Qaeda, or I think that was the enemy of the choice at the time right then. But anyways, if you were to go back and look into this and think about this, do you remember the science fiction kind of things that were coming out of military news that were making it into journalism headlines? You were sleeping 8 hours ago. So it's really going to get low at 29 minus? Do you have your electric blanket working? You need to convince an older girl to marry you. Yellow Beast, I don't know what to tell you with that. I have no experience with that. You might want to ask around for a friend that might know something in that category. But as far as a reader goes, you just have to let it culminate. If it's meant to be, you'll know it, and so will she. Well, I can tell you one that has stayed in the forefront of my mind. Going to let me tell. So, I know you're watching, listening, what have you. This is AI trying to stop me. AI or somebody behind AI. They've just reconnected me again. So what I'm saying is that I have dated, different people in the Arabic nations. But mostly, it was insignificant, but I do know the mindset of a lot of the men in those areas. And they were, at least at that time, and up until then, vehemently against being with the same gender. And so I wouldn't say necessarily that they were ahead of anyone. They may have been, but I'm not thinking that's what it was. It's just that they had a particular religious doctrine that they followed. This is a lot like... Does anybody remember this? Is anybody old enough to remember this? Back in the U.S. when they went to Afghanistan and the military used technology, voice-to-school technology or something to compel, to control that of the soldiers. Does anybody remember that, where they made them go for each other? Which it was a location of the world where men would think that that was like tantamount to what a Christian would say is sacrilege. It would be completely against them, and it would make them want to off themselves just to do this. And then we would have the spring out there in that part of the world not long after, the Arab Spring. So it makes you wonder if the two things were connected. But see, the thing is they use military technology and these things to control us. So I think they were testing it wherever they go to war. That's where they would generally they would do their testing. Like in the 70s, they had what was called Agent Orange. And they had other things that they were doing. And they were doing psyops and experiments and everything here in the U.S. too. Like they had more ability to triangulate on families by splitting them up. Mom had to work now because the 50s had happened, and boom, mom has to go to work after the 50s, after the 60s. Dad, he had to have 2 jobs. Mom might have to have 2 jobs. Maybe there's 2 homes. Maybe there's only one breadwinner. So the children were accessible, right? And, or the parents, they were under certain kinds of mind control. So this is what happened in America. They've been tinkering with every living soul. Accessible, yes. So I was kind of using that as kind of a back, kind of another kind of story here. But the thing is that what I really am trying to convey in this video, the one that I put out, is if you are somebody who's familiar with the Stranger Things, if you've ever watched it or you have a loose idea. Now, even The Sims, do you remember The Sims? Has anybody played The Sims game? They had those animal plants, those plants that ate people. Can't think what they called them. They were plant eater, or they were carnivore plants. And think about it. The tentacles that could grab you, are like that, and like an octopus, right? There are a lot of different, things you could parallel this with, snakes, parasites, all these different things that are like entanglement, and also the web, entanglement. So I'm going to play a little more of this just to give you a taste. Certain groups
say they will do certain things, kind of like how they ate with only one hand if they were Muslim,
That was
right?
it. Thank you.
Okay, so,
Plant zombies.
and
Thank
mind you,
you.
my boyfriend that I was
Oh,
with is
something
not
like
really
that,
from that
right?
area, but I do know other people who were in that area. I even worked with people who come here from that area. So I'm going to say I do know that if there was anyone who was GAY, it was very, very rare. If not, it was unheard of, okay? So the military started something where they would have people that were going to war out there.
I'm going to fast forward that part because I just told you about it.
With that, it's kind of like Dark City because he walked, he drove out to the basic nowhere and he saw that he was in a
Has
simulation
anybody
world
seen Dark City? You've all seen The Matrix. I'm pretty sure most everyone has seen The Matrix.
and it was grid-like. Anyways, so the internet. I want to explain something. Do you know porch pirates, internet shopping, ID thieves, crime rings that run online, hacking, mass corruption online, surveillance, documentation being swapped, switched, stolen, right? Removed, destroyed.
Hey, Prime Rice.
You know, all these things that are really
Welcome.
nefarious that are on the internet,
Welcome
can be
to all the
done on the
new
internet.
new people who are showing up, and also thank you, Jeffrey, Carrie,
They're
Jakeisha.
not necessary.
If Cherry
If
pops
we
in,
weren't
I
on
think
the
she sometimes
internet, do you
does.
know how simple life would
Thank you,
be?
everyone who's been here
If you're
and
not
who's
as old as
new.
me, you may not know. But there was a time you could open your door, you could walk down the street, go to a little mom and pop store, get just what you need, put money back into the community when you put your dollar bill or your coins into their till. There was a time when you could drive over to, say, like the record store.
Oh, shoot. I knocked myself out. Do you mean, Carrie, the virus that I spoke on that one? The zombie virus? Was it the one found in the tree sometime like about a decade ago? He's been working on it. He's been resurrecting that virus. Yes. Um, I know about that one, but
He's been working on it. He's been resurrecting that.
oops, I'm not trying to mirror myself here. I was trying to get back to the video I was at.
When you could drive over to, say, like,
So yeah, that zombie virus. Okay, it isn't hard to create zombies out of us. Okay, I just want to just put that interjection in because you don't even have to come across something that's stuck in, say, oh, in deep in the ice. Yeah, that is something that would be utilized, I'm sure, not for good reason, right? But they could ultimately also create different ones, but to some level, we're actually zombies if we find that we're eating something that's tainted with what was human components. Because when mad cows get mad cow's disease, it's from eating their own kind. And there is a disease known that we are not supposed to eat our own genetics. So that's why most who are carnivore do consume other animals, but they do not consume their own. There is an illness that sets in if you consume your own. They had an island that was on the Discovery Channel or something some time ago, where people had in their belief systems that they would KILL or wait for somebody to DIE, right? Have to spell because I don't want to get signaled here, but they would take out certain people in the village, and they would do it like a ceremony, and Irish famine, and there was something to do with the potatoes. Yeah, America is treading on thin ice with their food right now. I'm sure you know that. Um, so what happens is they have this mindset, this collective kind of thing that went on with these, and they were probably already consumed by parasites because the parasite can make you do things, much like the sim character in the game. You know, the controller, an actual parasite. It's almost like a space creature because a parasite is like, are they really from here? We don't know, right? The vril, it's another story all in itself, but the vril itself does control. But they have like the horsehair parasite, if you've ever seen like a grasshopper or any of these insects that they've caught on video where they're coming out, it's horrendously frightening. And this can happen to any creature that lives. So if you eat a product that had it and you unknowingly are eating that, you would get it. But the thing is that in the genetic world, we aren't supposed to consume our own kind. And so that in itself can create what would be a parasite in itself. I don't know if it's like a code that would create that, because again, we are in the web, and code, source code, it's like a stroke of the finger on the, the keyboard. It's like different things happen. Like scientists, they go in and they play with their beakers and they're in their petri dishes and they're just trying to create new things. Well, it's like experimentation. So there is a certain output that if we do this or that, because it's science, right? That's how science works. So, like you can't go left or right without there's like a dictation. I don't know the word. Like there's logic dictates that something has to happen if you make an action. Even inaction will make some kind of outcome, right? So I don't know if I'm even conveying what I'm trying to say. But the idea of us consuming ourselves is something that creates a zombie-like effect. Because if you look at the way that the cow industry, who have been infected, those cows will act bizarre, and they sometimes have been noted to go after each other. Like literally, if they've been fed each other, they literally will start looking hungry and start looking into consuming, say, their partner cows. So it has been noted. So I think that 𝐤𝐤𝐸 disease, which is mad cow disease, I think that it is related, and about 90% and maybe greater. If you wanted to look into this, you could. I am not a doctor, and everything's allegedly. I have to say that because with this platform, it's savage when people want to speak truth, okay? When they want to share knowledge. But 90%, maybe greater, of all cancer on this planet is actually parasitic. So it's like, that's why people get cured so easily, so fast, if they go on some kind of, say, agent that, say, a farmer would have, or, like there's a drug that I can't say that was being passed around or spoken about quite a bit during the COVID years. But there's also other things. People know all kinds of parasitic cleanses and things like this. Anyway, I'm going to get off that topic and we're going to play the video again. I don't know. The way that when I'm on the tablet recording, that's where I am right now. The way that it operates, I don't see the screen consistently. So unless somebody types something, I really don't know if anybody said anything. And I don't want to pop out because the only options here are to back out. And here we go. There's a lot of people coming out and saying that they are feeding people of themselves, apparently. Yeah, it's happening quite a bit. Yeah, you've been putting time out. I know I can't see everything that's going on. I will catch up with you eventually. Yeah, that was to Kiss Bood Hazy or whatever the heck. Yeah, we're not bringing any kind of sermons here, okay? That's not where we are. Yes, it was to do with the potatoes and the Irish famine. There are a lot of people coming out saying that. Yeah, it is disgusting. It's diabolical. 10 or plus years ago, they come out with what is known, it's called Cinemix. 𝐒𝐢𝐦𝐬, I think. It's an agent that they got. I'm not going to tell you too much. I'll let you put two and two together for yourself, but it comes from what are the beginning stages of life that is found at Planned Parenthood. Now, one thing I want to say that some of you may not know, some of you do know, I don't prescribe to left, right, red, blue, okay, Republican, Democrat. I quit voting some time back, okay, way, way before all this. I was disenchanted with things, and I realized things were a farce, that everyone was the same group, that they're all friends, the votes never counted. I know that's something that's going to get a lot of people mad. That's okay. It's just not a philosophy I prescribe to, because I see The lie, the grift, they've been deceiving us a long time in America, and this could be worldwide too. Voting isn't something we really have a power about. All they can do is make us think we have power. They want us to think we have control. Back to cannibalism. So now they're feeding us to ourselves. What happens when that happens is, when you think about this, right, outside the box with this, right, we were an experiment. We're a social experiment. We're a human or a creature experiment. When they get tired of whoever's the controller, right, whoever's the one masterfully controlling the matrix, if you will, they start to develop new creatures. They start changing new narratives. They start changing new ideas, new storylines, right? So we started kind of floating into the zombie take around after the 2000s, which most people were in the know. It's not really preaching. I'm just sharing information. But if you don't like what you're hearing, you can check out Prime Race. How does human foot? I would not know, and I don't want to know. I mean, the truth is that we may, in the undertones, know if we've been in America or we've eaten American products. We may know the undertone of something. We may. And that was not a free will. So we have different design drugs that they put out into the market too. So there was one named Crocodile, not too long, it was maybe a decade back or so. There's been a few in America that if you really did some searching on YouTube, you would see videos of people who are high on different DRUGs. You're not American, but you've tasted. Okay. So did you set out to do that on purpose, or? Okay, I am not going to go on this topic too much longer. Okay, but I'm going to speak on this drug thing that they've done. Okay, so a lot of times the acronym networks are behind a lot of the things, administering, bringing in new things, right? And yeah, I don't want to know either. So I'm just amazed that somebody would actually be here that would want to share that. So no, we know he did it on purpose. He sought out his victims. So let's just say that these, if you go look back in, I want to say Virginia, it might have been Virginia or Pennsylvania, one of the states back near DC, there was a massive, in the last like few years, video where they showed people just completely strung out, drugged up, right? They behaved like zombies. They were wasting away. I kind of think they were experimenting, those that are the manufacturers, with something that might have been a twist of this and a twist of that. They could have taken the crocodile, they could have taken Ozempic. They did things. They might have administered even human, remains into that batch, right? So then people were consuming themselves so that they would start rotting on the bone a lot faster. So the idea is, and has been, to find different ways to end us. So if it's not giving somebody a lust factor for the same kind so that they would go out, like you said, Dahmer, right? People of that nature that are, say, kind of like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, horror, thinking, right? So people have an unsavory knack for wanting to fulfill some kind of depraved interest, right? They want to eat something they should not eat, okay? The wasting away is going to start before our very eyes. So if we haven't already seen it, it's going to show up. Now, it might look like a drug, like overdose or abuse. It might be swept under the carpet. So the thing is that this is only one mechanism to ending us. This Stiegel report that I've been speaking on, they have many mechanisms. So far, I've been hearing in the last 24 hours massive stories of different things that could affect great numbers of people. Like, going into another topic, they had a solar power fire. Anybody know of that down in California? And it was a power storage place for massive quantities of people. I think they said in the millions. Or it helped. I don't know how many people are down there, but it helped massive quantities of people, get their energy. And they used it, they needed it, they relied on it, and then it burned. It is burned. Was it California? Maybe that was actually Europe. That could have been the UK. Somebody can correct me if they know. Might have been the UK. I'm so tired I might not be getting the right place because something had happened in California that was about a fog, a layer of fog that's sitting in California that people say is actually causing trouble down there too. We have a lot of things going on right now, and it's not just America. So I think the Deagle report is in full swing. I'm going to play some more. But the thing is that are we being excommunicated from a web we don't want to be in? Are we being thrown out and spit out? Are we something they don't want to digest? So think of this as like Jonah and the whale. The whale in the Bible, right? I'm not trying to be biblical and I'm not doing the sermons here, but I'm using it as a reference. So say people went into the whale and they were spit out. And then Jonah's in there, So you know the story if you know the story. But the thing is not everybody can come in. Okay? So maybe I'm just going to play the rest of this real quick because I'm kind of going off on a lot of different tangents. I don't know if anybody's even here, if anyone's compelled to talk anymore, so I can't see you. But yes, I do welcome you if you're new and if you're not here to incite trouble. And please be good to everyone who is here. Thank you, everyone who has been subscribed and been very supportive. I appreciate you, all of you.
The record store, pre-internet, mind you. Let's just say it would be a godsend if we got amnesia and the internet was to leave us all the way around the world alone. That would be a godsend. But the thing is, you could go to a record store, you could get hard copies. The cloud storage would not be necessary. You could have tangible items that belong to you, that you can feel with your hands.
How about that?
You could put into the machine.
I keep on going right back to the one that I'm in now. But how about that? Do you all prefer having a tangible disc or cassette or a record or something you can put in your hands and actually play it, own it,
You could put
it be yours? You don't have to worry about the clouds in some damn city or nearby stealing water, creating havoc, killing and making anyone ill, right? Not ending the lives of the plants, the flowers, and not, let's talk about the bees. Let's talk about the bees. Let's talk about the birds. Do you realize that without the birds and the bees, we are no more? That our days are numbered without them alone? The colony collapsed this year. We had colony collapse in the bee world. You all know that? It's something that they don't want to tell us because we're going into the transhuman era. Did we have a contract we signed that we said, I'm sorry, I don't want to be flesh no more? Did we do that? Are we willingly throwing away the world of the flesh world? Are we wanting to be something non-human? Do we want to be like a Skynet product?
Into the machine yourself. When that music stops, it's not up to the person that loaded it for you to hear it. You stop it when you choose, and the song plays all the way through. Same with TV, same with movies. You don't start seeing a bunch of ads flashing across the screen. You get to get the full view of that film, that TV show, and the credits that are on there. You get to hear every last...
Well, I am talking at length. The point of the audio is we are on the web. We are in the web. Okay, so the web is not part of our world. We are an asset in the web. They are completing the project by digitizing us. So if you'll have to be patient to listen to the rest if you're interested, because I connect some dots. But there's a spoiler here if you're a Stranger Things fan and you have not seen the last 4 episodes. So I invite you to go watch that if that is of interest to you. I won't pressure anybody that is not interested, though.
Utterance or word or what it is that they wanted you to hear when they directed that film. So what am I trying to tell you? I feel we got caught in the web. When I say that, I mean like a spider web. This is a place, when you think of that old term, welcome to my parlor, said the spider to the fly. We are food. and we always were. We came in, we were tricked. We were tricked. Okay, so when you remember your first experience on the internet, can you tell me? I want you to write in the comment area what your first experience was when you went on the internet. Now, it could be you were a child and you were given like a child's machine or something like that, or maybe you were in school. Maybe your teacher helped get you started for your first class online. Maybe kindergarten, first grade, I don't know. Because if there are people who are younger here, they would have started maybe when in school. If you're older, was it college? Did you go to a friend's house? They used to have a place called the Internet Cafes when I was first going on the internet, and I would date guys who were like real, um, I guess they were yuppies. I don't know. They were computer nerds, but kind of yuppie like. But so they knew these places we would go to and we would play on computers. And I couldn't afford a computer when I finally went to go get one. So I went to go get a web television, which is a very inexpensive machine at the time, right? Don't know if they have them now. And you plugged it into your television. Well, let me say something. I mentioned how it was listed through munitions, through, the military before. The firewall is supposed to be very, very significant. It's very slick. They set the situation up for the people using it. So they're safe. They have firewalls. You can't get through. So today, if I was to say, I want to go online, and I had a web TV, I might be safer to have one of those than a telephone, a tablet, or a computer. I don't know. I mean, it depends on if they were still, but the thing is, what were they putting in the wires coming and going? You see, people might not realize in any modality of internet they use, whichever formula they choose, server, service, machine, style, right? They don't know what's happening with the data. The data transfer was so much different when the packets were, say, on a dial-up versus a today's style. You do remember the dial-up sound. Okay, they used it in The Matrix in one of the films. I do think that we would have less danger if we were dial-up. But I think the invention of the internet, or bringing it to the people, is where we have been endangered. So now we have identity thefts. We have SEX crimes because people can blackmail people with pictures or force people into coercion to do things they would not do, right? The black web, the dark web, same difference, right? The dark web, I'm thinking black goo here too. So yeah, sentient kind of stuff, right? Something that wants to get into our memory and hive us, steal from us, and cumulatively put us together like a hive. And that's going back to Stranger Things. Now, that is your homework. If you've not seen it and you're interested and you do have the capability to see it, please do watch it. We are in the internet. See, the thing is that Vecna, he took his subjects and he plugged them in to the web. He did. He took them and he plugged them into the web. That's what that was. The upside down is us on the internet. What is left out there in the real world is they're going to digitize us very soon. That means the upside down has won. The Duffer Brothers, they had some secret little things that they put coded in their show. Now, I don't know anything about them. They may be Republican, they may be Dem, they might not be either. I don't know. But they did put some codes in there. One thing was the third episode I saw. Erica shows up in school, and she's wearing a t-shirt, and I can't remember currently what the camp name was, but the initials were CCP, which makes you think of China, okay? Then the little boy, who is the beginning of the season, who is the second one to be taken after Holly, they want, okay? Vecna wants that little boy. His name is Derek. His last name starts with a T. He is, to a very strong model, a lot like we know Donnie T was, that person who is orange, because he was from money. He was spoiled. He had a sister. Now he had a brother too, but we don't know if there's supposed to be an older brother to them, to in the story. We don't know about, but there was, at least a sister as well. But there's a lot of strange things that are kind of like, I feel this season they really wanted to put in there to see if we're looking. Okay, one thing is for certain, they used Sarah Connor, Linda Hamilton. They used her in this season. And in the final episode they show Will getting his abilities. He has full-fledged abilities to be as strong, if not maybe more so, than Vecna. He is a sorcerer, which means that he does not require spells and special words, incantations. No, he, with sheer mind and will, he can do what he wants to because he has that strong strength, that ability. While he was doing that, the Radio Shack was in the background, which is, it is history right now, as many of you may know. Radio Shack was the hookup for us for technical things back before the internet took over, before it got so big. Because I mentioned Sarah Connor, I have to tell you the next building next door to Radio Shack was John's, JOHNS, and there was no fanciness about that sign. Makes you think of John Connor. Sarah Connor, in the story, Skynet is secretly being shown to us right there in season 5 of Stranger Things. Now, one more thing, the Georgia Guidestones. You see, not everyone can go where we're going if we're not going, or if we are. What does that mean? I lost it again. Does that mean we waste away, that we're ended, that we're, lifeless, that we're going into the afterlife? What does that mean? You see, for me, I'm trying to piece it together, and I would like your input, especially if you watch this show. Because all those cables are living. They're the tentacles of this creature in the upside down. That is the internet. And the internet is swallowing us whole. If we're digitized, if the ID Act does take hold worldwide, we are all consumed by Vecna, the internet, the upside down. It's all synonymous. But what did I get with the Georgia Guidestones? CCR. CCR was a code that I found in the film, the videos, right? I think it was the 4th episode. I'll have to go back to find it and find the place, but CCR was code, and CCR was, I think it was CCR, or CRR, the same initials, because I correlated it at the same time, and I said to myself the name. The guy who supposedly ordered the granite for the Georgia Guidestones, the slab. And now, according to what I'm finding, which many of you may have already known, or other people have known, that there is absolutely they're saying nothing in the ground. So
I'll leave it there. The time capsule that they once said was in Georgia. Jakeisha, have you been to where that location is in Georgia? Alberton, I think it was, where the Georgia Guidestones were at. The lines between the upside down and the internet in reality are faded away into oblivion. Actually, with the digital ID, they're merging. Therefore, there will be no thing known as non-internet. We will be the internet. We will fully be encompassed. What's the word I'm looking for? We will be swallowed up, okay? Literally swallowed up into the internet. We fully are there, but they have to finalize that last step. It's kind of like we're the caged rats, and they have to get the door down, right? They'll lock it down, and I don't know if anybody here has seen another science fiction film. They did a reboot of H.G. with H.G. Wells. The War of the Worlds. Well, actually, Terminator, if you've seen the franchise, they also show these machines and or planes that would capture mass quantities of people. Like they're out there, trapping animals for back in the day for fur trading. They would get them for whatever they wanted them for, be it for, slave trading or be it for product, like for, let's go back to what we were saying, cannibalism, right? Or other things. There's been a lot of talk that some drugs are actually human bones ground up, dried, and put into the drug formula. There are people that are actually getting high on the remains of people. So therefore, I do think that the cannibal thing is coming because of that too. So, Jakisha, have you heard about the? Did you hear about the 2022 ending to the Guidestones? So you might not be near that area then. Well, it is free will, but as a collective, you can only have free will so much. You see, the thing is that it's the majority, sort of, it rules. Beyond leaving the construct we're in through a method I can't say here, that is the only, and it's like Max said, and I'm not going to ruin things for you, but there's a line she gives in, okay, are you okay for a spoiler since you have not seen the last 4 episodes? I don't think that our free will is going to be much longer. They can biohack us, like I said earlier. They can mess with our biology. They can do things to us so that we do it as they wish, as they want. And that was actually shown in, I think, was it season 3 of Stranger Things? And so, in some ways, all these different science fiction, science fantasy, and all these different kinds of things are merged into one 1984 based TV series, which it might have been 83. But Stranger Things, I forget what year they started that. But I kind of started out at the beginning of that video that I did, if you want to listen to the whole thing, about flipping 1984 for 1948, and it gives you a little bit more meat to the story I'm explaining. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and say this is a spoiler, so tune out right now. Don't listen to me. Like, turn your volume down a couple minutes if you don't want to hear this. There is a portion in the, I think, 4th episode, maybe the 3rd. Max is in her subconscious because it's like not her physical form, but she looks like her, okay? She is actually living in Vecna's mind. You see, the thing is the internet, if you look at this deeper, is Vecna. He has created a world that is him, and all these strange things, they clamp onto the mouth, and so that they feed on the people, the children, the people of the town, right? And that's what's been happening in Hawkins, since the beginning of this, right? And he still has this. He still gets people. He still gets victims, right? But Max, she tells little Holly, who is the youngest Wheeler child, she tells Holly that there are 3 doors when she first got in there that she knew that there would be. One is to self-end, to delete herself. So that would mean that she probably, because she'd be giving up her will, that means that she probably would die, like at the hospital. Because if her conscience gives up, then that's it. All deals are off. It would flatline her. So the second one would be to go along with the program, which means just do as the program wants, which is what she was doing. But she found a place that made her feel safe in the program. And it was a cave, a particular cave that for some reason Vecna does not want to go to. Vecna will not touch the cave. So, in the entire place that is what's considered Vecna's mind, his memory, his world he's created, which is the internet and my findings here, the upside down, that area where Max is hiding is now where Holly has met her. we're at kind of a cliffhanger going into, this is a spoiler. Max has sent her back to the house, which is where Henry, which is Vecna, has sent Holly to stay. But she was told that she was not to leave the house. She was told to stay at the house, not go into the forest. When she had to go to the forest, that's how she got to her location where she found Max. Max had actually been the reason she left. She tricked her. So that's the spoiler. So everything is happening within Vecna's mind. So if the upside down is, say, to take over and not be stopped, that's tantamount to us having the internet take over everything and not be stopped. So we have two versions of ourselves. We have our spirit, soul, psyche side, right? That's not tangible, right? So the intangible and the tangible. So they're working on humanizing us. They've had many mechanisms. Now let's go back to the food for a minute. Because, see, everything locks us in, like a little portion of this, a little portion of that. It locks us in. So we have to, we're like the rats in the maze. We have to take the cheese. If we keep taking the cheese, we're locked in more fiercely. So we have to be careful to only nibble enough to sustain and then try to wander the path another way. Try to trick the one that is trying to control. Do you get me? So we're like the rats in the maze. And the point I'm trying to make is like Max, she found a place. So that could be the case here. There could be like a blind spot to the all-seeing, the all-knowing. But the thing is, we don't want to be clamped down in a machine that will not open its jaws to let us out. We are close to that happening. That ID Act, it is not for the children. They're telling us they want to protect the children. All the platforms, including this one, are part of that. So I hope you all understand what I'm saying when I say this. There is an ID Act going where they're going to make us use the internet with only our identification. We will not be accessing the internet, and you need to access the internet to live. Everything is playing part and party into this, actually. Okay, right down to the acquisition that now there's been a new turn in the plan for Netflix. Netflix was gonna get the Warner Brother collection. They were going to buy the Warner. They had an offer. It was going to go through. Today we wake up. There's new news. Ellison and Son, Oracle. Okay, anybody know the company I'm speaking of, right? I can't really talk about these names too much, but he and Son, they own different platform streaming companies that would be other places that created movies and TV shows and music. Okay, so these media moguls, right? They're connected to a group that's not real, a group that's controlling us. He did purchase, and he was given the okay to have, run, and control TikTok, which they'd already flavored with such popularity. So you control the masses when you are on their favorite app. Okay, so that is up to you to do the homework on that. That is a part of this, though. That is part of what's going on with us here. The other thing is that they're injecting with the help of Gates. Okay, you know the guy who used to create Windows? They are creating injectable, and I think they've already been doing it. They've been putting different VAXs into our, if we eat meat, okay? But they're also doing it in our produce. So even if you're a vegan, you can't get away from it. Now, from what I understand, it is really hard to decipher because I've heard people who work in the produce industry, they could put a label on something and say that it's organic. It could be truly not organic. So we are playing right now with something that we are unaware could already have a fix in on us. But it is free will. That is the only thing we have left. So that means resist. Resist, rebuke, and remove. When I say those three words, I mean you have to resist if you do not wish, if you do not comply, if you do not want to sign some document that you're part of some kind of contract that locks you in the jaws of a steel cage. Okay? Now, the wind is getting really fierce where I'm at. The door almost pushed open. Okay, I am above the target. I absolutely know it. Okay, so remove, when I say remove, remove things that would be, say, enemy territory. So, like, say you're buying a product, you're paying for a service, and you know that that is something undermining to yourself and other life forces in here. So I won't tell you what things. You'll need to do your own research. But so, okay, the things in America that they're tainting I know of are potatoes and lettuce and broccoli. Those are the things they're admitting to. We know that the meat has been subjected to different VAXs. I think that there are things that most people would not want. If they are a person who say votes red, who's a MAGA, they would specifically not like this. But the thing is, while Wag the Dog is going on, these MAGAs that I'm speaking of are people who are paying attention to other stories. They don't know some of the things that are undermining them because they're so busy with their vitriol of hostility, anger, and hatred. The left are busy trying to pretend they're fighting for a cause. They're not. APAC is in the pocket of both sides. So nibbling in the middle of the sandwich is the only way to go. We are rats in a maze. Does anybody want to share with me any ideas how we can stop the clampdown so we're not trapped in this matrix? Because, you know what, this is the life that we lived. To my knowledge, we're not laying in hospital beds and meeting here on a place called the internet. To my knowledge, how about you? You feel that this is a real life that they're actually encroaching into, that they're trying to take and steal us and put us into like a Vecna world? Yes, wings of the same bird. That is right. And I recognize that, and a lot of people knew that before me, I'm sure, but because I come from a staunch family of, oh, you have to vote. Voting is the way, right? When they had the hanging chads in America, I'm old enough to remember this. Some of you may be too young to know this, but back in America, there was a thing between Bush and Gore. And Gore was the vice president to Bill Clinton. And because I was raised Democrat, I would stay Democrat, working class, people of the blue collar side, right? So I stayed with that precept. There was nobody that I really could align with that was on the right side anyway at that time. I would not have voted for Bush had I wanted to. I was about to vote for Gore. I think I did vote for Gore. I was compelled that I would not vote again because I was angry, but I think I voted for Barack. And the thing is that he wore his skin like he did his lapel flag. He decided that he would be black or white, depending, or Hawaiian, depending on how it floated his popularity. Okay, I'm not going to say he wasn't a good orator. He knows how to precisely sway any. He has charisma, sway any audience. But the thing is that like any of them, I distrust any of them. And Barack was somebody I think I did vote for his first time. But the thing is that when they had me completely realize the whole thing was a ruse, then I stopped altogether, was when Main Street was not bailed out, but the banks were. See, what we're going through now is like tantamount times beyond compare to what happened in 2008 with the banking crisis. And I'll do you one better. I knew the day, and some of you who've been with me a while know this, and I've spoken a bit about this before. I knew the day 911 occurred that it was an inside op. I knew that there was no truth to the story they gave us from the moment it happened. My deceased love, I heard call me on the line like a paranormal kind of experience. Like he called me. It was like, it kind of was Matrixy, you know, with the phone line. He was born in Beirut. Okay, so my boyfriend, who'd been my love prior, he was Lebanese, okay? And he lived here for a long, long time, right? I knew him for, by that time, maybe 12 years, okay? We weren't together. I just got married. I just got married right about the time that this Trade Center thing happened. And I hadn't been in touch with anybody from anywhere outside the world at that point, outside this part of the world, I should say, this part of the map at that time. And he was a victim of brain cancer. He did pass. So I have to say, I knew that it wasn't true. I knew it wasn't real. And a lot of things were coming out. They had the story too fast. So they created a narrative that everyone would believe so that they could create an illusion. So we'd have these phantom people who were involved with this group and it was over there. So we'd have to create a fake war, which if you look back in history, all the wars are prolificated by the banksters, the people who have money. Now look, so I'm talking right now, some people might think this is tinfoil hat kind of stuff. Some people have come to knowledge about things and they recognize what I'm saying to be real and true. But the thing is that they divide us so well. So then if you look at it by left and right, and I'm middle of the road. So let me just explain to you. The conspiracy theories are not conspiracies. That label was put out there by the IAC. That is backwards. Rotate those letters. They created a formula to make people be nullified, ignored, mocked. Kind of like the dunce hat. Let's laugh at these people and they are just like kooks. We can't believe anything they're saying. Anyways, the truth is that a lot of truth is stranger than fiction. And that is the reason they make us sound silly, stupid, whatever, if we're ferreting information we're sharing. The point is, why would they need to create a paradigm in which people would be mocked if there was no truth there? Why would it be so significant that that energy would need to be applied towards people speaking about something they believe was a different story? So that goes to all kinds of facets. You know, I'm not talking on just that date. Okay, September of that date, right? Also, I'm starting to see trade and barter groups online. It feels like they are doing they are actually, Carrie, they are taking, I think, so many dystopian stories and they're kind of patching them together like one great big quilt. And we're living in like different versions of them. And because their plans, after they get that seal on the door to us, you know, to create this world we can't get out of and put us in the Vecna sphere. Okay, I was trying to remember if Vecna was a word. It seems like Vecna. It kind of feels like a mathematical word. Does anybody know the origins of the word Vecna? Vecna? It started making me think that, you know, and even Jeffrey brought up a film way back. Jeffrey, can you share with everybody the show, the movie that THX? Can you share with them that one? That was the Spielberg early film about how they tried to divide us and make us non-human at that point. It was a Spielberg film, I believe. Thank you. Yes, and interesting to me that is 11 and 11. You see the 3 and the 8? It's almost like one of the people in the set, and I didn't watch the film I think I might have seen it years back, and I think that it was over my head, but it was kind of like when I watched, when Prob told me that I needed to see Eraserhead. Some of these are really deep, and you really have to watch them more than one time. So what is it like in your area, whoever's listening? Are you getting rain? Are you getting sunshine? Are you getting storms? Snow? I know Canada is getting snow. Yeah, you know, and that's because it's the target. Jeffrey, anything that they don't want us to see, they'll make it harder for us to see it. They will triangulate plans to keep us in the dark or keep it hard to ferret out or share what it is, right, that needs shared. Just like what Stranger Things is. They bring it back, and when they bring it back, the price has already been upped. Their plot is to up it again. That film might be sunk I'm hoping that if it does happen, it might hurt worse though to us as a collective. If it does happen, they're saying that Ellison and Son are looking at acquiring it for Paramount, like making that a huge monopoly beyond what it is, right? Snow off and cold windy. Lots of trees are down. Sunny, unusually warm. So is it comfortably warm or is it exceedingly hot? Would you say? Maybe it's humid. They're playing with our environments. Okay, so and I was forgetting. Okay, so we were talking about dystopia and all of the different layers they could play, Hunger Games and all the others, right? Okay, so then the mind flash happened for me when you said that, Carrie. They're planning 15-minute cities here in the U.S. I don't know about the rest of the world, but I know the U.S. They're planning 15-minute cities, and I think it's partly because we are the leader in, and this is a bad thing, in having those cloud storage units. There's mass quantity of them here in the US. I don't know if anyone knows. It exceeds anywhere on the planet. And I think that we're going to be wall to wall, like robotic enslavement here. It's going to be like Elysium if you're going to have a good time here. The film with Jodie Foster and oh, what is his name? I want to call him after my cousin because he looks like my cousin kind of, but I can't think of his name right now. But so if there's 15-minute cities, they could have a. Imagine going into a movie theater and you get a different movie in each theater back in the day. So if you're old enough to know, you know. But each city would have its own, say, theme, like theme parks. So each 15-minute city might have a different kind of dystopia layer to it. They could have one that is layered to be you will not live beyond 30. The oldest you could be in Logan's Run was 30. When you got that birthday marker, you were cast out, you were sent off, you were fried, you were ended. And they're putting him there too. Yeah, so they want to totally remove the quantity in which we have now. That's what Deagle is about, and that is a worldwide thing. I don't think Canada is going to be as hit by it as, say, the US and maybe Europe. I'm not sure, but I think that Britain, UK, and America, I think, are the worst places hit. So I think, based on the Georgia Guidestones, they've made the MAGAs, the people who are like the red hat wearers here in the US, they've made them feel like the white, the ethnicity of like a multitude of people that come from the white zones, the Caucasians, right? That they're going to be hunted down and ended so that they will want to fight anyone who's not like them. They want to create hate out of that fear. So these people who are MAGAs are usually the GUN owners. So they could be doing things. We could have a purge going right now that they're looking the other way on. So I'm hearing stories, sad, very, very devastating stories of truck drivers who are being ended, their lives ended because they're brown skin in different locations. They can't be driving. They need to have livelihood. Some of them are doing it. A lot of people are being found hanging from trees. Initially, when I first heard this months back, before this year started, I thought it was propaganda. I thought there was like some kind of left-right thing and they were creating stories. But I do think there is some kind of faction behind the scenes doing things. So you have like KKK, and I can't say all the groups, but you know, the hate-filled people. I think things are happening. I think that we have things happening and it's been brewing out of fear. And so those that are constructing this situation we live in and they're leaning on the right, the ones that are, they're operating out of fear and they're doing things that are bad. That's why they're signing up to be ICE agents, because ultimately they fear that which is what they are not. They can't embrace what is different from them. So, what I see happening is they're using a kind of, do you remember when the orange one said in his terminology with his like little groups, his little gatherings, the banterings, they say fight, fight, fight. Okay, so the idea was to create a formula which we would actually come at each other like we're in a prison. It's like Bound for Glory, Blood In, Blood Out, the film, and that's based on Art of War. So it's like taking groups and pitting them against each other, and the last man standing will be the ones that will be dealt with. Okay? So ultimately, they're using tactics from the Art of War. Now, I've been going into also the House of Cards. I need to finish it. I'm in season 2. Very compelling, good story. If you're in the UK and you saw the original, it probably was as good or better. This is a very good story, and it feels like I'm watching this year what we've lived in America. So there is part of that character, and his character, funny enough, his initials are FU. So he had a driver who I kind of wonder was underhandedly giving him cufflinks. So it says FU, like FU, you know what that means, right? His name is Francis Underwood. Anyways, his character is hard. He is cold, and he's a killer. And he starts out as the whip, and he moves into being vice, and I think he's going to be prez. But I am only in season 2, and I'm trying not to look at spoilers. But what I'm trying to say is, I've kind of gone all over the place. I'm just going to reel it in here. So that's another thing I'm in. So if you haven't watched it or you want to share, go right ahead. And or you might want to pick up the torch if you have the ability to watch Netflix or any way that it's playing. And yes, back to what Jeffrey said, the paywall. They cripple us so that we can't. The paywall is a mighty tool to work against us. Oh yeah, the Art of War. Let me finish that thought real quick. So they are trying to single-handedly create this illusion that we are all at each other. And they're using fear to seed into some people. Now I've seen some, and I don't want to have any arguments, I'm just going to put this out there to be fair. I have seen some dark-skinned people who are hateful of, and they have a right to be, okay, of the other side, the Caucasian side. But they are doing it the same way as the MAGAs. So in other words, they're saying underhandedly, like, come in my neighborhood, it'd be the last breath you take. Like, they don't care. They won't ask, are you a good person who's Caucasian? They don't care. So you have this racism thing going both ways. And I'm going to say this. I grew up in the first era at my school where they had blending. So I didn't know anything other than the blending. I prefer the blending. That's just who I am, too. I have Sagittarius in my chart, and we like differences from ourselves. We don't want to be looking in the mirror and just be talking to somebody that's a cookie cutter version of ourselves. That's just how we are made. Hey, Cherry, how are you doing? Good to see you. Some countries are fighting back, like Italy. And Italy, did they have a new ruler? I can't remember. We were sharing in the last 𝐤𝐸𝐬 live stream that was open. We were sharing, and Jacob brought out some information on. He researched her when I was talking about her. There's like a grand premiere or something, and I can't remember where she was. Delaney might pop in and might remember. Maybe Jacob is around. I don't know if anybody sees us here, but anyways, she's AI. She runs an entire country, and she's AI, and she said she's going to have her babies, 100 of them. Tell me this is not insanity. But that tells you more about the idea that we are in the Matrix. We are in Vecna's world. The jaws are clamping down on us. I see a sign of life where I'm at here, so I may have to run. I've been talking and talking and talking. Is there anything that anyone here would like me to further look into that we can bring as topics here? Of any of the things that we've touched on. The Art of War, for me, also means that... I'm going to pause just a second. I'm here still, though. Okay, so let me know if you have a topic that you would like me to dive into farther. We will certainly look into it and bring it to the next live streams. Whatever it is that I put out here, we can talk about, debate, discuss, throw out information on. I've got a couple glitches in the matrix here. You know, I have two black cats. They both kind of went two different ways, but they kind of look like the same guy because they are almost identical. Um, so let me just say, if they remove us through a court of us fighting each other, they have less to take out. So they're using our breath, what we breathe. They're using our food, what we eat. The forced inoculations, going back to what happened with the Ovid years with the C, the cover charge, the ID, which I knew they were digitizing us then because they said 6 feet apart. And for me, that was like saying to me that the cameras that would be through a drone were having to just differentiate us from each other. They didn't want the lines to. During that time, the slaughter bots were story 2. So they want to know that they have the target. They want to lock in on the target. Then I saw Squid Games. Okay, so I started realizing how we're cataloged and over the bubble. I never watched Person of Interest, but I think that there's like that science thing, that tech thing that they can use to see us through the computers, through Flock, through the surveillance, and they know us on the number. So the number pops up. It might even give them data on us if they want to look closer. But yes, we are itemized like we're products on a menu. And that is something I spoke on before too. That is something real going on too. There were children who were being taken back east by ice cream trucks this last summer. I don't know if it's still going on. These ice cream trucks were popping up between 9 p.m. and 1 a.m. or so, times they should not have been. They said that Bill Gates is good. Oh, they are so. If I touch my screen, I guess I get the whole script. So I can, as much as it lets me see, I can see things I missed. So if I missed anything, I apologize. So sending warm wishes to Cherry and Carrie because they're both in the snow and cold regions. You want a big private island, get away from it all, off grid. I totally agree. We all should find ourselves one and not allow anything in it, right? It's scary to be meat, but it's scary to buy meat now. Yes. Well, we're going to probably stop doing the red style. And I quit doing chicken because in this house I quit him too, and he's unhappy about it. But I found out there was bleach in it, and I don't know to what level, how much of it. Just a second. Okay, another note. This is like strange, but I'm going to share this. So I was actually over the target on several things, and I was getting headaches, and I was having things, the flyovers. Certain things have happened, right? So I received products from a certain unnamed company that ships, and I'm sure you know the one I mean. And they claimed there was an accident or something happened in Fort Worth. So they delayed what looked like the package had been in my town. They delayed it and they claimed it was in Fort Worth. So they said that it wouldn't be here until about 4 days from now, right? He went out just now to the front porch and there it was. So tell me they're not playing like mind games on me. Tell me they're not trying to mess with my head, right? So yes, the network, it is all connected. And anything we do, we say, we think, they will punish us what way they want to. Well, we used to have somebody here that had chickens, and I think they sold them. There is somebody who has property behind us. Do you remember, if you've been with this channel for a while, you know that we have genuine fire here a lot, and then we have fireworks here a lot, and I'm not talking just holidays, I'm talking pretty often. That might stop. There was a explosion in a building near me, and fireworks were involved. So I think that somebody caught fire or something, and then it started to explode. So they had like unsafe things all housed in one place, right? I think that might have been the location that I'd been hearing this come from. So maybe they go into a little thicket of someplace, they light them off, and they've been hoarding them, and they're in the area. I don't know, but it happened. And it's so funny that it happened just like when I was getting above the truth on my readings when I started this channel, when it was new, and I got man-made disaster. And then right where I moved from, just minutes from it, I just moved here, there was a plane that went through the roof at that place I moved away from. Not the place itself, but near it. You remember that being on. That happened to me too. It says it's delayed and it's not. I think that, yeah, the local farmers are the way to go. The problem is, for me also, though, the heirlooms, we don't know everything. We don't know everything. I mean, at what point can they mess with things, right? So yeah, they don't want me talking. I do persevere. Sometimes I gotta pull back. I am a TI. I think we all are. I think a lot of people don't know they are. They won't want to admit they are. But with biohacking, yeah, we are all under. So as long as we're in Vecna's world, which I'm calling a Vecna's world because that's what most people will identify with, I don't know that we can really control this. So I'm going to leave it here. I have the other party here that needs to make noise, and I can't be talking without maybe having loud noises happening. So I better get running. But I am very appreciative to all of you who have subscribed, liked, shared, and been here and contributed. And the conversation, it's important that we all sort of have something to bring to the table on it, that we're all aware of what's going on. Because there is a lot, and I just got the devil card, there is a lot that we are strung up on, that we're, many of us, aware of different parts of the picture. So if we can all bring our part to the picture, to the table, we can then get the puzzle to come together, and the clues, and maybe some kind of way to get out of this, maybe some kind of idea. So I'm going to leave it here, and I wish you all the best. May the good weather persevere if you have it, and may it be clear and soon warmed up where you are if it isn't right now. You have a wonderful day. Get under that electric blanket. Stay nice and toasty. And keep your digits covered, Carrie. Thank you. Be well, everybody. And if you have Sagittarius reason to listen to any kind of readings, ninth, I want to say gate, ninth door, at ninth door is the Sagittarius channel. I have material going out there. Be well. I'll see you all soon. I'll probably pop in when I do have a chance, when things are quiet. I'll probably just do a pop in. No real notice, but you'll probably see me, maybe in some way, over at Lucky Girl when I do it. Getting my energy cleared so that I can do cosmic readings, cosmic sage. Be well. I'll talk to you all soon. Stay safe and don't go into Vecna's realm.